Okay, let's do an overall correction, and then we're going to use a new tool, the adjustment brush. On this image, I am going to look at my histogram once again, and I'm going to push my blacks over a little bit. And if I push my whites over a little bit to the first point where I start to get that little warning, pull it back. Let's pump in some shadows. Now, watch what happens with the highlights here, the sky. So you can see the sky is starting to come in. The top of the metal roof over here is coming in. So I push that all the way to -100. I'm going to add a little bit of contrast. And for right now, I hardly touch the exposure. Let's move down here and look at texture though. This looks like it's going to have a lot of good texture. So the texture slider is doing something like this, but I think I'm going to try the clarity because I just want it to be a little bit crispier overall. So I pushed up the clarity a little bit. Now, remember I said I don't play with dehaze much, but let's see what happens when I push it to the right. Everything's looking a little bit more intense. It's looking a bit better to my eye. Remember, this is all subjective. Let's throw in some vibrance so you can see what's happening when I push it all the way up. It's too much. Just for fun, let's try the saturation. I don't really like what's happening with the greens and the grasses when I play with the saturation. So let's pull that back and we're just going to push up the vibrance a little bit. Okay, so it's looking pretty good, but I think I can bring some more sky information in. And I can't do that with what I'm using right now. So I'm going to go up here to the tools and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 over from the left is the adjustment brush. I'm going to click on that and you can see I have some adjustments made over here. I want to reset this back to the default. So I'm going to do reset local correction settings. So everything is dialed back into 0. What I clicked was this little drop down right here. Now that I've reset everything, let's crank up the dehaze a little bit. Also, when I come down here, I want auto mask turned on, and that's going to help me make better selections near the edges and not have to worry about things quite as much. So now I'm going to make a new adjustment, and as I paint in here, you can see that my sky is starting to get a little more defined. I'm getting a little bit more blue. I'm going to use the bracket keys and adjust the size of my brush. I'm being careful not to click too far into the object's edges. Okay, so now on the fly I can change this dehaze setting. So why didn't I go with highlights? I'm not getting that much bang for the buck with the highlights, so I'm just going to leave them set to what they are. But that doesn't mean I can't come in here and play a little bit. Maybe I'll pop my whites a little bit more. Let's see what happens with contrast. Well, contrast is adding a nice little pump as well. I can add multiple adjustment points. So to add another one, I'm going to click over here under where it's the adjustment brush. It says New. And I'm going to reset local corrections again. And I'm going to pull down the saturation this time. I'm going to pull a little bit of saturation out of these poppy flowery things down here. I made my brush a little bit larger, and I'm just going to come in here and paint where I want to reduce the saturation. Now remember, just because I dialed it down to -57 doesn't mean it has to stay there. I can adjust this now to my liking after I have it painted in. So you can add multiple adjustments. To make this one active again, you click on it. To make this one active, you click on it. So whichever one has the little red and black dot, you can make that selection. Let's say I reduce my saturation too much, like in that core sign. I'm going to pump that back up a little bit. If I want to erase it off of there, I just grab the erase tool. So once again, I hop back up here to the top where it says New, Add, and Erase, and I can take that saturation reduction off of the core sign and make it back to the normal. You've got a lot of flexibility here. Play with the adjustment brush. Be careful. Look at the edges. Look to make sure that you're not spilling onto parts that you don't want to spill onto. If you do that, what do you need to do? Erase it. You can make a localized correction. You can make a second localized correction, a third, a number of them. And if you overdo, You can change the amount of the slider, and you can also use the eraser tool. Play with this tool and have some fun.